Change control is a double-edged sword. It's super important because we don't want just anybody making changes nilly-willy on the network. We want it documented, we want it approved, we want a change window, we want it verified, and all of that happens with a good change control program. Now, that being said, what if there is some suspicious activity that we're noticing? Either it came up as an alert in our system, or we're using Smart View Monitor and we see something that looks like it may be suspicious. If we want to stop that activity just temporarily so we can take a breath and take a closer look at it to make sure it's not really harmful, if we wanted to change our policy, our firewall policy on the gateway, and we had to go through change control, that change may take a week. Or if we expedite it, it may take a few hours. And then the time it takes between getting the approval for a change and implementing the change, if we have some type of malicious activity, the damage could already be done. So to address the challenge of temporarily blocking or stopping certain ports or protocols or applications, as part of Smart View Monitor, there's a component called Suspicious Activity Monitoring, and more importantly, in my opinion, Suspicious Activity Rules. Now here's the cool thing about these Suspicious Activity Rules. We can temporarily place restrictions based on source IP address or destination IP address, including ranges or blocks of addresses, as well as the individual ports or protocols or services that we want to block. And then we can apply that based on the amount of time we want that block to happen. And once we implement these suspicious activity rules, they are implemented immediately on the gateway or gateways where we apply them. So we don't have to go through change control to change our formal firewall policy. We do not have to do the formal install policy and push out the policy to the gateways. These are like short-term stopgap measures that we can use while we stop certain types of traffic, catch our breath, and verify that it's not harmful or malicious traffic. So here in the lab environment, we'll launch Smart Console here on DCNUG to connect to our security management server. On the left, we'll click on Logs and Monitor. And that took about 47 seconds for it to actually build this. In any event, we're going to go ahead and click on the plus symbol for our new tab up here. It says it's loading. Looks like it's giving me a little bit of a hard time. I'm going to go back to the original Logs tab just for a moment, and then go back to the new tab. And with that new tab open, at the bottom left here, we have the option to launch Smart View Monitor. So we'll click right here on Tunnel and User Monitoring to bring up Smart View Monitor. And then I'm going to click on the little maximize icon right here to bring up full screen. And to see if we have any alerts, we'd use this icon right here up in the menu bar called Alerts. So we click on Alerts, it's going to show us if we have any current alerts. Now in this lab environment, we currently don't. But this is where we could go to see any alerts. Now regarding these suspicious activity rules, here's how we do that. We're going to click on this icon right here called Suspicious Activity Rules, which is a subset of the Suspicious Activity Monitoring here in Smart View Monitor. So we'll click on Suspicious Activity Rules. And then I'm going to click on the radio button that's going to show us based on all gateways that we're currently managing. So at the moment, there are 0 suspicious activity rules in place. But if we wanted to create one or apply one, we could use the add option right here. Now, before we create a suspicious activity rule, let's go ahead and verify some basic connectivity from a PC on the inside network that's going through a gateway. And to do that, we can do that from our management PCs. So from the taskbar down here, I'm going to right click on the little Windows icon in the bottom left hand corner, and then from the menu, let's bring up a command prompt. So we'll click on command prompt. And from here, let's do a couple of ping tests. Let's do a ping to www.checkpoint.com, press enter. Ping uses ICMP, so we can use it as a baseline. That works. And let's also do a ping out to a Google DNS server at 8.8.8.8. Press enter. And that's working great. So we have ping successfully working from our local computer on the 192.168.1 network going out to a couple different internet resources. Fantastic. So let's minimize our command prompt here. And let's go back to our enforced, easy for me to say, back to our enforced suspicious activity rules. And let's click on add to add a new one. And for this demonstration, let's go ahead and apply this on all the security gateways. So if we had 5 gateways, we could apply this rule to all 5 immediately. And as far as what we want to block on, we have source, destination, and also service. So for the demo, let's go ahead and block just the single IP address of the computer that I'm sitting at, which is 192.168.1.100. If we were going to do a network, we would also include the mask as part of that to do a block of addresses. And then for the destination, let's not say any. Let's go ahead and replace that with just 8.8.8.8. And for the service, we could use the picker here. I'm just going to type in ICMP. And regarding how long we want this suspicious activity rule to be in place, we can control that right here for the next 10 minutes, the next hour, etc. So if we say 10 minutes, or we could have an absolute date, and then we'll click on Enforce. And ta-da! That rule is now in place. So if we bring back our command prompt, I'm going to go down here to the bottom to the taskbar, bring back the command prompt window, and if we hit the up arrow key a couple times and ping www.checkpoint.com, no problem, that still works. However, if we try to ping 8.8.8.8, I'll press enter here, it's not going to go. And that's because our suspicious activity rule, as part of the suspicious activity monitoring, as a subcomponent of SmartView Monitor, is not allowing that traffic to go. So if we went back to this rule and we selected it and said remove the rule, and then confirmed, and then went back to our command prompt, and then did that same ping again by hitting the up arrow key, it now works because there's no longer a suspicious activity rule in place that's blocking that traffic. In this Nugget and Lab, we identified that SmartView Monitor has a subcomponent referred to as Suspicious Activity Monitoring, sometimes referred to as SAM, S-A-M. And as part of SAM, we also have Suspicious Activity Rules, which can, for a period of time, block certain types of traffic that can give us time to stop an attack or some suspicious activity and give us more time to take a closer look at what's going on. And it all can be done without having to install a whole formal policy to any of our gateways. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.